Hi, today I'll be trying something different and completely new for me. As you may have seen, this week's challenge on CodePen is 100 list items, and I didn't really have an idea for this, but this design looks quite interesting, so I'll be trying something like this. And something else I want to try is, you know, when you scroll a page and various items just pop into place. Yeah, that's something else that I've never done before, and I'll give it a try today. So we're going to start with the actual list, and we're going to set the number of items in a style attribute as a custom property. So n set like this, and we'll just copy this for now. Then within this list we'll be having a loop, so for let I starting from 0 going all the way up to n, incremented at every step. Now here we're going to have children, and of course here we'll be using the index I, and these are not going to be lists themselves, they're going to be list items. Okay, so now let me show you why I chose to set that index as a custom property. So counter reset, as you can see here, it starts from 0, so it's 0 based, but here we want to start from 1, so we need to add 1. So we're going to have calc the index plus 1. Okay, now we're going to have a before pseudo element, and as its content we'll be using the counter, and we'll be having a decimal leading 0. Okay, that looks great. So something else we'll be doing on the actual list, we'll be setting list style none to get rid of that first numbering. Okay, something else I want to do is set a font, since we're here anyway. So monospace. Actually, let's make this depend on the viewport, so it's going to be calc I don't really know what I'm doing. Okay, this looks good enough, I suppose. Okay, now let's maximize this, and we'll be setting a multiplier. This is going to be something like 3, and here we set the line height to that multiplier, right? Let's also set a color here. This is going to be an HSL value, and we compute the hue using the index. So the index times 360 divided by the number of items. So this is going to be the hue, and then we're going to have the saturation and the lightness. Now, having done this, we set background here to that color. Okay. Oh, the number of items, not I. Okay, this is much better. We don't have that much of a variation, so we can increase the variation in between the colors by multiplying there by something. Something else I want to set here is display flex, because by default the before is inline. Let's also set a diameter here. So this is going to be the multiplier times 1m, and let's also compute the radius, which is going to be half the diameter. So you don't have to keep computing this in the code. So here we set the width to that diameter, and we also set a border radius 50%. Okay, now we align that text in the middle. Something else we want to do here is like a reset, margin 0, padding 0 for everything. Okay, let's set a background here, so it's going to be something like a light gray for example. Let's give this a maximum width. So let's say this is going to be the minimum between 90% of the parent and, I don't know, 27 ems or something like that. And let's set a background. Let's set it to white, so we have a bit of a contrast. Okay. Something else, margin 0 auto, to place them in the middle. Let's also set a border radius, which is going to be that radius r in the top left corner, then 0 and 0, and then again for the last corner is going to be r. Okay. Now we also want, as you can see, there's a bit of white there on the edge, so we can add a box shadow. So box shadow, so something like this. Maybe add a second one, slightly bigger, and then a third one, but this is going to be different. This is going to use let's say RGBA, something like this. Okay. Something else I want to do here is set overflow hidden, so we don't have outside, we don't have that shadow outside as well. Okay, that's good. And we want to set a box shadow on the parent as well. So it's going to be something like this, right? So yeah, so here, for example, we're going to have 15 pixels, something like this. I don't know. Okay, this looks a bit too regular, so let's fix this by adding a random rotation. So we're going to generate a random rotation angle around the z-axis. So random generates a number between 0 and 1, and we want something between -1 and 1. So and we want to restrict the number of decimals to 2, let's say. Okay, and we want this to be a number, and we set it as a custom property in the style attribute. So here we'll be having, okay, and this is going to be in degrees. Now, having done this, we set a rotation, something like this. Okay, and this looks pretty good, but we want the rotation to be from this end. So now, actually, even better if we set it a radius. Okay, this is even better. Something else I want here is set padding. This is going to be something like this, I suppose. Okay, now something else I want to set for all the list items except the first one. So starting from nth child n plus 2, a margin top, which is going to be minus 0.5 ems, something like that. Okay, now this is starting to look like something. Also want to add a hidden class here and a hidden flag. So this is 0 normally, but if we set that hidden class, it's going to be 1. So here we're going to have another transform. It's going to be a translation. It's going to be calc that hidden flag times, let's say, half the viewport width for now. We'll do something better later, but for now let's leave it like this. Something else I want here is set an overflow X hidden on the body. So okay, and on the HTML I want to set height. Okay, so like this. Now let's move on to the JS. So we get the list of items first off. Query selector all. Okay, and this is going to be a node list. Let's turn it into an array, so then we can map this to okay. Having done this, this is going to be the viewport height, and we're going to have a function size. All right. Also going to have add event listener, resize, and then we call this size function. Now let's take both of these, duplicate them, and this is going to be on scroll. This is going to be a move function. Now, of course, in the size function, we'll be computing that height, which is going to be HTML. So document element, get bounding, okay. And we're also going to call that move function. And I really hate writing that. So of course, at the beginning of everything, we'll be calling this size function, right? Now the magic happens within this move function. So we take this list of items, and for each item we compute the box. So now the next step is to filter this list. Okay, if it has a class of hidden, actually that's going to be a class list, right? Contains class of hidden, and its upper bound is smaller than the end, the height of the viewport. So right, so it should be this, and in this case, for each item of the filtered list, filtered array, we're going to remove that hidden class. Right, so we're going to have something like this. Now this is very interesting. That it got removed for the first two. That's interesting. So it should okay, the HTML for some reason it's really short and I have no idea. Oh, it's set, I didn't set it to 100%, I set it to 10%. So yeah, that's the problem. Otherwise, yeah, something's broken there. Let's add a transition and we'll see after that. Transform something like this. Okay, so let's see. Okay, now this works nicely. Look at this. Okay, but we don't have that sort of transition when we go back up, so let's fix that. So here we'll be having a second condition. Okay, so it's going to look like this, and we make sure to re-add that class. So like this. So yeah, this should do it, right? And now if I scroll back up, okay, I get that effect once more. Okay, that's good, but let's say we want them to come from both sides. So one is going to come from the left and the other one is going to come from the right. And I want to show you a little trick here, and it involves Houdini. So we're going to compute something like a floor so this is going to be over 2 minus 0.5, and since we have a 0 there, actually I can do +1 and problem solved. I don't need to do the particular case. Okay, so having done this, we're going to register floor. So property syntax, and it's going to be an integer initial value. Okay, so having done this, we're going to have that the modulo is going to be minus okay, and then we're going to compute a sign which is going to be twice the modulo minus 1 or something like that. Okay, and here we're going to add the sign, so we're going to multiply with the sign. What's the problem? I'm not really sure what the problem is. Okay, save. Let's reload. Okay, so there's something that I messed up somewhere, but I'm not really sure where. So I have that property. Oh, yeah, that's what I messed up. Okay, this looks great. We can also add something like a scale. Actually, we're going to use not hidden. So this is going to be 1 minus that hidden flag. So it's going to look like that. Okay, but we want these to come more from the outside, so we're going to add 50%. So yes, this is much better, as you can see. So yeah, this is much nicer. And we could actually take this to the next level with a mask. So let's say we're going to have something like this. Mask. And this is going to be I'm not even sure, but we can do something like a radial gradient. And we're going to have red, so this should do it. Transparent. I think this should do it. So here we'll be setting, and of course we'll be needing to register this as well. And this is going to be a number, right? Okay, and here we'll be setting okay, that's going to be a mask. We actually have a problem with masking. So yeah, that may not be the best idea, because it's going to cut out. So if you actually set it to 50% and 200%, like as in bigger, no, that's not going to work. But if I set something like margin box, is it going to? Well, it looks like it works. So well, if it works, it works. That's a good thing. Okay, so apparently this is working. I'm not really sure why it's not should I the masking isn't really happening, so that's a weird one. Oh, it's just, oh, margin box is invalidating the whole thing. Now that's a pity. So yeah, I guess we'll just drop the whole mask idea. Probably need something different for that. Just use transform there. Okay, so we could actually also use the opacity. So and have transition property. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it. I'll leave it at this. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you like the work that I've been putting out for more than 8 years now, please consider supporting it. You can do so by being a cool cat and becoming a patron on Patreon. The link is going to be in the description, or you can get me something off my Amazon wishlist. Again, the links are going to be in the description, just like the links for this demo and any other resources. Or you can at least share this to show the world what can be done these days on the web, because honestly I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching. Also, if you've done this sort of stuff with action on scroll, if you have some demos, some examples, just drop them in the description, because I'm really curious about how other people do this. As I said, this is my first time trying this stuff, so yeah, just drop them in the description. Anyway, until next time.